And we are recording.
Is it Chief Young? Can you hear me?
There, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Are you there?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Hi, I'm Ray Mitchell, and I won't start the meeting because we don't have everybody here, but I just want to say hello and welcome to Lake Stevens.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's nice meeting you.
And I mentioned earlier that I won't have to remember two names because they're both Jeffs.
Yeah, either one of us. I mean, you're good.
My age, it helps if I can narrow it down.
Let me see if we've heard from Brian. It's unusual for him to not make it.
Well, there's his names up there.
Oh, there he is. Great.
I'm waiting to see him there.
Yeah.
Do we have a quorum or do we have a forum?
Quorum.
Quorum. Oh, there's Brian. Well, I see that we have a
No
quorum.
audio, guys.
Hi, Brian. So
Can you hear me?
we'll call the meeting to order. We have our.
I can't hear anybody. We pull off these.
Is that better?
He can't hear us yet.
That's better. Now I can hear it.
Now you can hear us. Okay.
I think that was operator error on my end. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'll start the meeting with our roll call. I'm Ray Mitchell. I chair the Civil Service Commission. Brian
Brian McManus, Civil Service Commissioner.
and Jeff. Introduce yourself.
Deputy Chief Jeff Young.
Okay, great.
Welcome, Chief.
How are you doing, sir? Nice to meet you.
Good.
On the agenda, on our action items, the first item we'll have there is the approval of the minutes for the January 18th meeting. Brian, have you had an opportunity to look at those?
I did. I didn't see any corrections.
Okay,
Right.
I'll make a motion. We accept them as written. Is there a second?
I will second that motion, sir.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All two of us.
The second item we have on there is the, to approve the entry-level police officer list. Have you had an opportunity to review that also, Brian?
I have, and I again don't have any questions on that. Looks pretty
Okay,
usual.
Chief, can you share anything with us on these applicants? Are you allowed to?
He hasn't even seen him.
Oh, you haven't even seen them, okay.
I haven't. No,
Well, I guess you can't comment on them.
no, not this time. Maybe next time.
All right, I'll make a motion that we accept the list as written. Brian?
I will second that motion, sir.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I will sign this. The item C is the
Yeah.
item C is our police records specialist eligibility list. Any issues on that, Brian?
Nope, looks pretty good.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept that as written. There a second?
I will second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Under new business, this is primarily, I guess, for you and I, Brian. We have to decide who's going to be the chair and the vice chair for the upcoming year.
Wow. Well, I think
So,
it's either rock, scissors, paper, Ray, or we can make that decision
Yeah, and I
for
have
an
no
army of two
problem-
here.
I have no problem staying on as chair if you want, if you agree to be vice chair or vice versa.
Absolutely would be agreed.
That
I'd agree to
okay?
be vice chair. If you're good staying on course, let's do it.
Okay,
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion that I will remain as chair and you and Brian will be our vice chair. All in favor?
I will second that motion, and all in favor say
Aye.
yay.
All right.
Aye, there we go.
Then we have a large group.
Chief, you had no idea the resources you had at your fingertips, did you, sir?
We have a large group to select from, Brian. Before we adjourn, Chief, is there anything you can share with us, what's going on in the department, or where we're at on head count and that sort of stuff? Jeff, did you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm just having a little bit of technical difficulties here. I've been having problems with my computers all week.
Okay.
So we've got, and then of course, there we go. We're back on here. Gotta love technology, right? So we're pressing forward. I think just the sake of letting you know what's going on, we did our canine handler selection last week, and we're going to be moving an officer into that position. So we're going to get Sia back out and certified. We're holding our commander selection process on Monday. We are hoping to get some more laterals recruited and attracted. One of the things that Chief Zizo and I had spoke about was doing some sort of a recruitment video and pushing that out via some of the social media platforms and on YouTube as well, highlighting why Lake Stevens is a great place to work. There's a lot of opportunities in the state right now, of course, but we want to stand out and attract the highest quality talent that we possibly can, because Lake Stevens is a great community and is definitely deserving of the best officers and best talent we could find. Those are just some of the things right there. Hopefully by the next time we meet, we'll have a little bit more to provide for you and give you a little bit more background and detail.
Okay. Now, I know that, Chief, that Wayne Ackerman, who was our traffic officer, retired. Where are we at on getting a replacement for him?
We are currently trying to get some more officers hired so that we can fill the traffic position. Right now it's kind of a delicate balancing act of where we place people, because of the fact that, when we are pulling from patrol to fill some of those spots, that leaves a vacancy within patrol. And with the way some of the responses are required for the different laws that we have in place right now, we want to keep our maximum focus on patrol, but we are going to be looking to get more officers hired and get us up to our staffing numbers, and then get the traffic officers selected.
Now, that officer does not have to be posted for that opening. That's just a matter of the command staff moving somebody into that position.
We will either do a letter of interest or some sort of a selection process if we have more than, say, one applicant. If we have one applicant and then they're qualified, then we probably slide them right over. But we want to make sure that we're putting the right people in the right positions, because traffic, as you know, can be one of those hot buttons where you can be a great resource, or people can be making voodoo dolls. So we definitely want to put the
Chief,
right
I'm a Leadfoot, so I'm okay if you don't hurry to fill that. You know what I mean? It's okay with me.
Well,
Hey, but I
know
do have
that
the unmarked black Charger right now, so you never know.
There you go. That's right.
it was awful nice when Officer Ackerman would go around and put his traffic meters on, that sense the speed, and I could see an immediate impact where people did slow down.
Yep.
And I know he used to go down there on Lundin and just where they brought it down to 25 miles an hour, and it really made a big difference having him out in the streets.
Yep.
Yeah, and traffic enforcement and education is a priority for us too. So what we're doing is we're going to try to put together some different programs to have some of our patrol guys do some traffic emphasis in certain areas where we know that we're having some problems. We do get some complaints from people all the time. We go out there and look at it and we see one car. That's not something we're going to be able to typically spend a lot of resources on, but if we identify those problem areas, then obviously we'd be putting some different resources out there and trying to control that and get some education enforcement going on.
Now, Chief, I noticed on the Facebook that there was a lot of entries on there on that multi-jurisdictional bust they had in Lake Stevens, where they found all those illegal firearms and drugs. And can you share with us anything about that?
I wish I could, but I do not know anything about it.
Okay.
Hey,
One
Chief,
other
another question for you.
Is that your son?
Go ahead,
behind
Ray.
you on the screen? There's some young guy, a picture behind you.
Yeah, I don't know how that worked, but
There you go.
I think both of those guys have a face for radio though, so.
Hey, Chief, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Since you're new to the department, obviously, do you guys think you're two questions? Do you think you're in where you need to be on the salary ranges to attract good candidates? Number one. And the second one to follow up to that is, obviously Lake Stevens is becoming an expensive place to live, right? To buy a house and the median home price is through the roof, right? So do you think that's a challenge for you guys? Just curious.
You know what? That's a great question. Both of them actually. So we would have to go and look and see what the current competitive salary rates are for people surrounding us. One of the things that we are competing with, of course, is Everett given a $35,000 bonus for experienced officers, and they're even giving bonuses out for entry level. There's a couple of other departments that are doing something similar. Then you've got Marysville giving up to $20,000. You've got some of the other surrounding agencies that are doing the same for experienced officers, and even some sort of a bonus for entry level. So I think across the country, there's a serious issue with recruiting and retention for a number of different reasons, but obviously the inflation doesn't help, but again, we're looking to try to identify some of those different things that will attract and retain the people that we do get, because it is important that we get the right people and keep the right people, because what we don't want to have happen obviously is like what happened in Everett, where Everett was able to attract 13 officers to come work for them with the high bonuses, and then those same officers went right back to Seattle and got a bonus again. So we just don't want to see that kind of thing happening. So it's one of those things where Chief Azizo and I were talking about that just this week, where we're looking at some different strategies for recruitment and retention. So there's a number of different things that we'll be trying to report back out to the council, our community members, and even to the commission here, so that you get an understanding of where we're coming from and what we think is going to be something that's going to help us with the recruiting and retention.
Yeah, I mean, it's no doubt there's some challenges inherent to the role right now, right? I mean, it's, there's a lot of political hot potato. I get that part of it, but I think that the people who have the true calling will come up anyway, So I think it's just the reason I mentioned that is if I can start having conversations with city council, with the mayor, just kind of proactively, just say, because I looked at the salary ranges, I thought they were on par, but maybe nothing to make you turn your head quick and go, man, I got to go apply there, right? So that combined with the cost of living, I'm just, to be candid, right? To be honest, that's just where we're at as a smaller city, but that doesn't mean we can't course correct that moving forward and maybe, get some funding in to help with that. So that's why I wanted to ask. Thank you for answering that. I appreciate it.
Chief, on a personal note, can you share with us a little bit of your background?
Sure. Yeah. So I came up here from Phoenix PD. I did 25 and a half years with Phoenix. I worked as a school resource officer. I was a detective for about a year in child crimes. I worked at the airport bureau as an officer, promoted from the airport bureau, went to sergeant in patrol. And then from there, I went to the community relations bureau, where I started off as the administrative sergeant and school resource officer coordinator. So notice they were getting me on both ends. Well, then with the recession that started back in like 09-ish, when we really started to feel the effects, we started losing some people, and we had to start kind of dividing up more of the responsibilities. So I was selected to work the bias crimes graffiti detail. And then I also got Block Watch added to that, Phoenix Neighborhood Patrol, and some other things on top of that. So yeah, I was working a lot. And then from community relations, I went over to our transit enforcement unit, spent about a year and a half there. And part of our deal there was to try to increase the safety and security on the transit system, which is all the buses, the light rail, some of the different commuters, and the infrastructure that goes along with it. And we also had to do Super Bowl 49 while we were there. So unfortunately, the Hawks did not win, but it was still a really good experience, and we had some really great people down there. All the Hawk fans behaved themselves. I can't quite say the same about some of those other fans, but we won't mention the name of that team, will we? So then from that, I went to Homeland Defense and Traffic Bureau, where I had the intelligence unit in the watch center, and we were able to provide some real-time information out to patrol officers and other details, as well as do some intake and do some high priority, high profile stuff. The Cascade Mall shooting was probably one of the ones that shows the partnership and fusion between the fusion centers, because when that kicked off, we had a crew in the watch center, and we started helping them with some of the intel that they were able to use for their operation up here. So that was a real
very good.
interesting coordination there. And then I promoted out of Homeland Defense and spent about three and a half years as a lieutenant before I retired and came up here. I was initially hired to be the chief for City of Mill Creek. I'm much happier being here in Lake Stevens, I will say that. So,
Yep.
and here I am, been
Amen.
here for about 7 weeks now, Julie, is that about right?
Right?
Well, thank
Well, you know,
for
Chief, in the
sharing that
corporate
with us.
world, they just call that your development path when you have 6 jobs you're doing, right? It's great for your development, right? Never mind your life, but great for your development, right?
Think of the
That's funny.
knowledge that you'll gain from all the stuff that we're having you do.
It'll be so multidimensional, it's crazy, right?
Right.
Well, on behalf of the commission, Chief, I want to welcome you to Lake Stevens. Hopefully the next time we meet, we won't have to wear these masks. I think that's right around the corner. One final note, Chief, the COVID, how is that affecting the department at this point in time?
So right now, we're still following the protocols that are recommended by CDC and some of the city protocols. We are still masking with the community because, you can just never tell. I mean, and there's so many things out there. So my wife is a public health nurse, and she's working on some different stuff with the specializations in public health. So I get to hear about this stuff all the time. So with all the different strains and different illnesses out there, it's always best to kind of wear that. And I've noticed over the past, say, 2.5, 3 years, even, that stretch right up before COVID hit, like officially hit, you would see the fire department out there with their N95s or even surgical masks, because they were just trying to protect themselves from, any other illness like the flu or whatever that would come out. So I can see a need for us to maintain, some sort of a masking protocol, but we're doing okay right now in terms of not having people go out with COVID. We've of course had our share of issues with that over the past several months, but who hasn't? So hopefully we're going to get around this COVID curve and be able to get life back to normal across the board.
Okay, well, thank you. Any other questions?
No, just welcome to the team, Chief. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting. Second?
I think I'll second that motion today,
Well, thank
Ray.
you very much, Brian. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you. Good luck, Chief.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.